And that's all for the news for now, but it's talk time. It's no banking day. A day two consumer protection organizations are asking bank customers to boycott banks. The organizations are not happy with what they term as excessive and often arbitrary charges by our financial institutions. And they're not alone in the complaints. The central bank says it investigated more than 6,000 complaints relating to unauthorized bank charges and compelled banks to refund 6.2 billion naira in 2015 alone. Now, that's more than 1% of Nigeria's GDP. Joining me this morning is the founder and president of one of the organizations behind the No Banking Day, Shola Salako of the Consumer Advocacy Foundation of Nigeria, CAFON. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, you didn't come with my T-shirts.
Don't worry, we'll get the T-shirt for you since you're compliant.
All right. And of course, I have a guest who will be joining us from Abuja. He's an economist, Aliu Audu. Let me start with you. We actually put out a poll there to find out, what Nigerians think about the No Banking Day. 40-something of them say they're in support. About 54 or so really don't care, about the No Banking Day or whatever the No Banking Day is all about. What does that say to you?
I guess it's going to be dependent on how you ask the question. Because the consumers who get back to us, a coalition of consumer protection associations, that includes my association, are concerned about the excessive charges. In fact, if you go on social media, you hear people make complaints and grumble and question the charges that they've been getting from their banks for services they cannot explain and all that. So in terms of creating awareness for No Banking Day, you may not get that much response because this only started about 2 weeks ago. It has not been based on any funding or anything. It's just been based on igniting consumer action. So whatever success that we record today is completely due to the fact that consumers were that committed to it, that they have moved on to mobilize for it. So 40 whatever percent.
Over 40%.
40% is significant.
That's yeah, exactly.
Very significant.
I think so too. What exactly, in very clear terms, what is the No Banking Day all about, and why are you, taking this step?
The No Banking Day is what we call a passive consumer protest against perceived infractions on them.
You choose your words carefully. Passive,
But
and
no, I think
perceived.
It's a passive protest, and it's based on the consumers' perceived excessive charges that they believe that they're getting from their banks. And I use the word perceived because it's actually based on individual perception. For instance, people send messages and complain, I didn't do this, and my bank is charging me for it. I don't even know what this charge is for. And all of that. So when you aggregate all those voices of people who feel, why are you charging me for something I don't know? Or why are you charging me for something I was not even aware was a service? Or I didn't even enjoy the service. People have complained that their banks charge them for cards that they did not collect.
The ATM
cards that they did not collect. At the end of the year, the bank charges everybody for 100 naira for debit card maintenance charge. And the consumers are wondering, when did they maintain the card? What did they do? Because the meaning of maintenance means that you actually did something to keep that card working. And the card has been with me, so what am I paying for? So there's been a lot of questions around what the banks charge. Not to now talk about the fact that in recent times, even the approved charges, somebody still complained yesterday that the bank was charging them 96 naira as SMS charge for one SMS. 96 naira. Is it a function of mislabeling of what the service is?
That SMS charge, is it for receiving an SMS from the bank?
Yes.
Or
for receiving an SMS from the bank. 96 naira per SMS. And he said they charged his account 4 times, took a picture of the text he got and put it online. So these are charges that most Nigerian consumers don't understand. I mean, if I am doing business with you, it is a commercial transaction, it's a contractual transaction. You should be able to state for me, as you enter into this contract, these are your liabilities. And these are my liabilities. That's what.
And you know that from get-go.
But banking customers don't have that benefit. Many times you are just made to sign because they know you need to quickly open the account or whatever. Nobody tells you these are the schedule of fees. I've looked at the letter by which debit cards are conveyed to consumers. Most banks, a few banks do give you a table of what all those charges are, but most banks don't. So you don't know what they're going to charge you until you have been charged. And we think that that is not fair. There should be information ahead of charging anything so that I am aware that I am liable for this, and then you can do it. Okay, you want to do a transfer from your own accounts.
Yes.
I have two accounts, maybe a savings and a current. So I walk into the banking hall. I'd like to transfer from A to B. The bank says I pay 210 naira for the slip.
For transferring an account from
transfer
your own account to another account, which
not
is
mine.
yours.
Yes, two accounts that are mine. I just want to move money from one to the other. You pay 200 naira for the paper that you will use to give the bank the instruction. Those are arbitrary and those are not fair. So these are just examples. If you talk to the average Nigerian banking consumer, everybody has a tale of woe. And if up to 80% of your customers are complaining about one thing or the other, I think it's the high time that both the banks and their regulator, that's the CBN, should take notice of the fact that consumers are important in this sector. We are the reason why the sector exists.
Okay, let me go to Abuja. Aliyu Audu is an economist and he's joining us from there. Good morning to you. Tell us, what do you think about this move by CAFON to actually draw the attention of, the banks, or maybe even the CBN, and indeed consumers, to what they term or perceive to be unjust fees, charged by banks, fees that they don't, or levies, that they don't actually explain to their customers.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Go ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think it's actually a very good move to being embarked on to discourage and stop banks from making unnecessary charges. It's very important banks should concentrate on ways of improving the economy and doing their actual function, which is provision of finance to the real sector and to grow the economy. I don't think it's right for banks to indulge in unnecessary charges in order to make money. I think that is a very wrong banking practice, and I think the CBN should concentrate more on banks and install higher penalties on banks that violate such rules. In 2012, the CBN set up the Consumer Protection Department, which was embarked with such responsibility. So I think it's very important that the CBN increase their searchlight on banks so that they can stop charging customers unnecessary charges.
Yeah, but
especially right now,
yes.
that
sorry to cut you there, but I'll still allow you to land. In fairness, the banks themselves are saying, look, these are really hard times, and there are no ways of making this extra funds or money, to allow them carry out some of their functions. Is that a fair argument part of the banks?
That is a very wrong argument. You can't, because you want to make money, do the wrong thing or break the rules. That is wrong. If you want to make money, there are ways of making money. And one of the ways of making money is by lending to the real sector, the agricultural sector, the manufacturing sector, and the other sectors in the economy. By lending to them and carrying out the proper banking practice, you can make your money through the interest rate you lend. That's another matter. I'm going to come to that. But banks should concentrate on proper banking, lending to the real sector, the manufacturing sector, and doing what is expected of them. not pilfering, not taking what does not belong to them and what belongs to the consumers. I mean, if you do that, what you're basically encouraging is armchair banking. Banks should go out into the market, look for the customers, look for the various people that need money, and pump money into this sector so that the economy can grow, and then they can make the money. Thank you.
Okay, Shola, let me come back to you. I mean, the same question I, threw to him. Some bank officials say the banks are facing a hard time and they don't have any options than to come up with some of this, what is the word
banks
again?
Are lazy.
Fees and what have you.
The banks are lazy. There is no banking sector anywhere in the world that is sustainable, that can be sustainable on just charges alone. The traditional, like Mr. Liu said, the traditional functions of a bank in any sector, in any economy, is to, one, warehouse money, take that money, put it back into the various sectors of the economy to help the economy to keep running. Like the oil that oils the engine of the economy.
Yes.
Now, everywhere you look, banking sectors everywhere in the world only grow or make profit as their economy, as the other sectors in the economy are making profit. Not in Nigeria. In 2015, estimated income, that is estimated profit after tax, note that it is after tax, of banks, all the banks in Nigeria, was estimated at 878 billion naira. That's profit after tax. Their asset base was estimated at 47 trillion naira. Now, please, how many sectors in Nigeria today can declare that kind of profit after tax? Except the banking industry. Now, can we look at the commensurate productivity of the banking industry in our economy that can justify them making this kind of money?
Profit.
Do you understand? So they don't have any explanation or any excuse. We want the banking industry to thrive, but the banking industry should thrive as other sectors in the economy are thriving. The banking industry in Nigeria are used to rent seeking. They are used to going to just collect money from governments and big companies and all that, and then sit on that, and then loan only to the guys who are big enough to help them make one thing or the other. Meanwhile, the smaller sector are not working. Now, this same CBN that is telling us now that these charges are needed for the banking industry to survive. CBN under Sanusi actually abolished some of these charges because CBN is trying to pursue an inclusive policy, financial policy, and they're also trying to pursue a cashless policy.
Yes.
Every charge, all these excessive charges and unexplained charges is chasing people away from the banks. So CBN, by its own policies, is negating what it is intending to achieve. Many people don't want to use ATM cards anymore because every time you go to your ATM, the banks don't have enough ATMs to go around. That's each bank cannot provide enough ATM for its customers. So everybody should use other people's ATMs. But when you get to the other person's ATM, CBN that said, don't worry, ATM transactions will be free for some time, changes the management, and the management comes up and says, okay, you can start charging 65 naira after every 3 other bank ATM. But consumers tell us that when you go to use another bank's ATM, the first time you use it, you already charged the 65. Now, the same banks come up with a policy to say, okay, because we want to encourage cashless, if you come into the banking hall, anything below 100,000, you cannot cash here. You have to go and cash at the ATM. So the customer goes to the ATM. There's not enough ATMs. Have you noticed that there's some banks, you will see the queue on the ATM is almost to the end of the road? Because those are the bank's customers. They don't want to go to another bank's ATM so that they will not be charged 65 naira. How much do some of them want to withdraw? 8,000 naira, 2,000 naira. They don't want to be charged 65 naira.
And are you limiting your protest to these bank charges or some of the other things that consumers suffer in terms of inconvenience? Talking about the ATM, for example, that you just cited. The whole idea behind the ATM was to provide convenience, for bank customers, and so that you found ATMs everywhere,
goes enough to you.
Beyond just the premises of the bank. So why do we have a situation where the ATMs are found only at the within the premises of the banks? That's another thing. Shouldn't we be looking at that, Aliyu Audu? Speaking of the ATMs. Hello, Aliyu Audu. Are you still there?
Yeah, I can.
Yes.
I'm here.
Yes. I was wondering, concerning the ATMs that Shola just mentioned now, in other parts of the world, I mean, ATMs or ATM machines, okay, are ubiquitous. You find them everywhere, not just within the banking premises. But in Nigeria, that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, I think what the banks should do, they should try and invest in more ATMs outside the banking premises, especially in shopping malls and other areas. As she said, the banks are making a profit of 800 billion. And when you're making such a profit, the idea is for you to invest it back and improve your customer infrastructure. And a way of doing that is by increasing the bank's ATM across different places. So it's important the bank use their the profit they're making to invest in infrastructure to make money more accessible to their customers rather than charging them.